All right, we're live. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going pretty good. No complaints.
No complaints. Well, that's
I've
good.
got lots of complaints, but none I'm putting here.
Yeah. So it looks like we're going out live just fine. Um, let me check X and make sure we're going out there. Okay. Yeah. So second live stream of 2026. We are just plowing through 2026 already.
Only 1/12 of the way.
Only 1/12, but boy, it went fast, didn't it?
But yep, it did for sure.
It did. So we have been busy working on new features for Accessibility Checker. And yep, looks like we're going out live on X. So cool. So welcome anybody joining now or after the fact. We do save these recordings for later, so you can enjoy them in your own time and in your own leisure. Um, this is the Accessibility Craft changelog live stream. Where we go over the latest features in the Accessibility Checker WordPress plugin, which is an automated accessibility scanning plugin to help your website become and stay accessible. We have a full suite of plugins. We have a free plugin that is full featured for scanning individual posts. We have a pro plugin where you can do site level scans and get more advanced auditing and remediation features. And then we have a few add-ons that go along with our Pro plugin. We have an audit history to track accessibility issues over time, a multi-site plugin to help you manage your accessibility licenses and stats and activations at the network site level of a WordPress multi-site. And we have an export add-on that allows you to export your issues to CSV so you can import them into any system you desire. So today, we're talking about stability, ordering, and issue clarity. So it's not a huge release, but it's an important release. So we're always trying to refine things and make things better and to be able to detect issues with greater accuracy. And in this case, being able to surface identical issues where we have historically had a little bit of trouble surfacing those accurately. So the plugin updates are in our free plugin and our pro plugin. Free plugin release is version 1.37.0 and the pro release version is 1.2.0. All right. So welcome, William.
Hey,
Doing good?
yeah, didn't get to there.
All right. So let's dive in and start going through these. And William will help me describe some of the things that we've done and some of these improvements. So, first off, we're going to start with issue identity, knowing when two things are the same. So, historically, like I mentioned, if you had two identical issues on the same page, the accessibility checker would a lot of times think that they were the same and would only surface it once. And what we've and this is because of the way that accessibility checker has historically worked and how it uniquely or how it was identifying issues. And basically it was evaluating based on the code object that it detected as the issue on the page. And you want to describe why that's problematic, William?
Yeah, so if previously the entire HTML fragment was the unique identifier for an individual issue, and that, you know, in some instances might be true. You might only have one skip link on a page. That's fine. You might only have one homepage logo on a page. That's also fine. But what you're likely to also have is a lot of paragraphs. And say, for example, there's two empty paragraph tags. They will look exactly the same as far as our system processing previously would work. So only the first discovered item would be flaggable. The subsequent items would be considered as the same. The system wouldn't know that it was a second item. And in most cases, that's fine. in some cases. It's not, as I said, in the case of empty paragraphs. But what if you also had the same broken link on a page? It would only be flagged once. And that has some cascading issues. So if you fix the link, the issue wouldn't go away. You would think you fixed it because you would see the first instance of that issue. You would be able to click the view on page button. It would take you to it. You would fix it. The issue wouldn't go away. It would actually just highlight another issue on subsequent scans. So it would look like it would effectively look like you're not doing anything. And hence the problem. It wasn't an issue for a long time, or wasn't realized to be an issue for a long time, but it turns out there are some pretty nasty edge cases that make things maybe not necessarily true.
Yeah, and I think where it pops up a lot of times is like in the WordPress block editor. Like it's very easy to generate empty paragraph tags just by hitting a return in the wrong place and not putting any text. And so like you can end up with empty paragraph tags. And like William said, if you had like 3 empty paragraph tags, the plugin would say, hey, you have an empty paragraph tag, and you would fix it. And then it would say, hey, you have an empty paragraph tag. And then you would fix the next one until they were resolved.
So because that issue was so prevalent, there was some affordances added that made paragraphs technically unique. So there would be, if you had 3 empty paragraphs, they would be stored as 3 unique items. However, then they wouldn't properly be grouped in the Pro Plugins Open Issues tab, the Fast Track tab, because they weren't the same markup object, because we treated the markup object as the only unique aspect when that just ended up just not being true.
Yeah, so to that, this has been quite some time in the making, and we started storing additional selector information in the database. I want to say like 8 or 9 months ago.
It's been quite a while. I think most people will already have selector data stored.
Yeah, so we've quietly been collecting this data in the database. In your database, we haven't been collecting it. It's in your database on your website, and
your website, your data, your markup.
Yeah. So when we scan a rule, we get certain artifacts that come from that scan, and of course, the code object is one, and we have historically been using that as the source of truth for what's unique. And you have a selector, you have an ancestor, and you have an XPath. And so those 3 metrics have been, or those 3 artifacts of the scan have been added in several releases ago, so that when we did switch to this, we didn't have to run an update process. Or but that being said, if for some reason somebody hasn't scanned in like 9 months, we do have an update process in that case to actually put in a unique identifier into that selector field, so that the functionality we've added will work even if you haven't rescanned in 9 months. So in making every like empty paragraph unique, so now we've switched to the selector as the unique identifier. And how does that make it unique, William? Why is that any different than the code object?
Yeah, so if you want to pull up my screen, I actually have an actual database from one of my test sites up that shows how this is unique. So right here we have previously how we would store paragraph tags, and this markup fragment here signifies a less than tag, and some of these require signify greater than tags, but this is an empty p tag. And if you see this inside the curly brackets, there is a p nth child 5. So this is the 5th p tag on post ID 2616. So this is a unique selector. However, this was not how we originally were storing the selectors. If I scroll up to the top of this, you can see here, this does not contain the nth child value in the object. However, we have a selector over on this side, and if we see here 6th, 7th, 8th child, 9th, 10th child, so these all appear on the same page, and these are the unique selectors for this object. This is quite a simple selector. the 6th paragraph tag on the page, and we are fairly certain that this is a unique selector. However, sometimes the selector isn't as simple as this one. For example, this item here, which is a YouTube embedded iframe. So this selector is much longer. It has 4 different levels of selector. Ultimately, the iframe is the item that we are targeting, but it's inside an embed wrapper from Core, which has an identifier of an embedded YouTube block, and it's inside from a plugin from called Newsletter Glue. So all of these combine together to make this unique. And the reason that the selector is so long is because there probably is other iframes on this page. That means the iframe on its own is not sufficient. If we look at the item above this is WP-image-570. This is unique on the page. This is a unique selector, and as such can be shorter. And with these selectors, it is far easier to identify the actual item on the page. So if we look at this, which is row 21 in the database, this image, scroll back to what the object looks like, it is significantly larger. Most of the markup fragments will be much larger than the selectors now. So we will be more effective in what we have to deliver to the page to find the items.
And more efficient to some degree in some of our queries as well.
Correct. I think I've done some initial measurements, nothing entirely scientific, but searching by this selector is probably 15 times faster than searching by this item. It is roughly the same when you're searching for a paragraph because it's a small markup fragment, but the larger the markup fragment is, the more time we're going to save on our queries. So yeah, ultimately we're going to save several seconds every time we run a scan, most likely.
Yeah, so switching to using this selector is a better long-term solution for the plugin, and it it brings a certain level of stability and consistency in issue tracking, whereas the selector is it's a kind of a known pattern on how that's generated, whereas a piece of relying on markup alone can really, it could be anything, and we're not in complete control of the markup that's detected.
Well, but if we were searching by this markup, we previously did write the code that would find this markup on the page and handle the highlighting, and it was a rather complicated solution to find this, and also not very performant on the front end. Whereas this selector right here can be passed into native JavaScript functions.
Yep, without any fancy parsing. Yep.
Document.query selector is the function, and this is native JavaScript. Almost everyone will probably use this if they have ever written JavaScript before, and you can find this exact element with this one line. Nothing else required. And because we have made sure that this is stored as a unique selector, we know this is only going to return one object. It's never going to return more than one.
Yeah, so I mean, the reason why this matters for accessibility is that we can surface and report on the overall state of the accessibility more accurately. So we're no longer grouping, like, say, 5 empty paragraphs together and counting it as one. We will actually now count that as 5 individual issues, giving you more of an accurate assessment and accurate stats on where the accessibility of your page sits.
And not to call it something that was negative about the way we were doing it previously. However, we have had at least one customer support query come in where someone was fixing an issue and getting slightly frustrated that the issue was never going away. And the reason why is because there was several of the same markup on the page, and they were fixing one, and the next one was the one identified. And it was frustrating for them. So now we are removing that as a potential issue that someone might run into.
Right. So reducing noise, and
Correct.
So it's repeated noise and it's putting a lot on the remediator's hands to to say they identify an issue, they fix it, and then they're presenting with the exact issue. It's not the
Yeah.
exact issue, but it'll
To
actually
them, it looks like the same issue in
right.
the back end. Unless they're using the front end highlighter, they might not know that it's a different instance.
Yeah, cool. So
But no longer an issue.
no longer an issue. So all of your duplicate identical markup will now be uniquely identified by accessibility checker. So that was kind of the first step in improving that. And then we've taken that and we've done the second step, which is improving the front end highlighter in regards to surfacing unique issues and the stability around having these selectors and the ancestor and the XPath, and improving how issues are identified and highlighted on the front end highlighter. So I'll pull us back up, William. So we added stability selectors and DOM ordering. So before in the front end highlighter, when you would pull up an issue and we have a next and a previous button, so you can just quickly toggle through the issues on the page. It would actually go in the order in which those issues were identified and stored in the database. And we wanted to give a more seamless and fluid experience to going through the front end of your website and fixing accessibility issues. So we've decided to order from the top of the DOM down. So your first issue in the DOM will be the first one that's highlighted, and then so on down the page. And this helps just bring a less jumpy experience to tabbing through those, because if issues were identified in the top of the page and then in the bottom of the page, it would literally jump down to the bottom of the page and then jump back to the top of the page. So it's just a way of making it more of a seamless experience. And in doing that, we switched it to using the selector to identify these issues, and so the targets actually end up more accurately in the right place.
And like I said earlier on, it is at least 15 times faster at discovering these issues on the front end, which might not matter so much for someone who has a fairly high-end PC, but for someone that might have a PC that is running background tasks or doing other things, it is actually noticeable. I didn't realize how noticeable it was until we ran the CPU throttle simulation yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and it is quite a lot faster to find by selector.
Yeah, because I mean, a code object, like William said, could be. I mean, it could be 1,000 characters. Like, I mean, we've done a really good job of reducing that down to the smallest HTML character we can to identify the issue, but it could be a pretty big piece of code. And when you take that and then you try to parse it and generate a selector from it, there can be some inconsistencies. And we actually did work on, so the front end highlighter, that we would actually take that code object and we would pull out and generate a JavaScript selector from it. And what we've done is we've taken, and that had been refined over several years, and it was very accurate. But this is actually more accurate than that. And not only that, using the selector is it more accurate, it's like William said, it's way more performant to only pull, like in some of those cases, it's 5 characters and you have a
Yep.
unique identifier. Whereas, the code object could be quite a few, like it could be 100 characters easily. And 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 so we had that, we would build a selector before, and what we've done is we still have that functionality. And from a programmatic standpoint, what we've done is we've built a layered kind of try and switch case, kind of like it first tries to use the unique selector to find the issue on the page. And if it actually fails to do that, which in most cases I don't think it will,
I have not found a fail case in the last like 2 weeks.
right?
It always finds the selector now.
if that fails, then it'll go down to the ancestor and it'll try to find it with the unique ancestor. And in the rare case that both of those actually fail to identify the issue, it will go to our legacy code object selector to try to find it. So we're doing everything we can to make the selection of these issues on the front end of your page as accurate as possible. And we can't promise 100% accuracy, but I would say that it is very close to that now at finding issues on the page.
Yeah, well, one of the benefits of the selector backed discovery is an issue I've previously run into is code on the front end of a website changing what the HTML looks like. Sometimes it injects data attributes for image lazy loading or prefetch. A lot of things are added sometimes on the page after it renders, and if you're searching for a specific issue and the markup has changed, then sometimes you're not going to be able to find that item.
Oh, sorry,
But
William. Looks like I dropped off.
but that's fine. I was yammering away.
There we go. And we're back. And cool. Looks like we switched positions, but I like you on the left. It's better. It's good.
Oh.
I think I can move it, but I'm afraid to. Yeah, so we must have an internet problem there. But cool.
I think we're moving on to the changes to the highlighter position.
Yeah.
Which
So
also got significantly more accurate in terms of visually where it gets placed and also the order in which the items are presented.
yeah, so in a previous release, William, you had worked on a feature to try to spread out targets, highlight targets so that they
Yes,
don't.
if there's one object, one markup object that had two issues, they would stack on top of each other. You wouldn't be able to individually click them with a mouse. And you would need to use the highlighter to the previous and next buttons to find them. And before we made the recent change, they may not be in the correct order. They may actually be very different. They may not be side by side in the previous and next. Now they are, which is a good improvement. But I did previously make an affordance that would add 5+ pixels off to the side, which would allow them to be clickable as well. As a side effect of that, introduce some bugs.
Yeah.
In positioning and counting.
Yeah, which and with the adding in the unique issues and reordering the targets in DOM order kind of highlighted a little bit of a bug with that. So this is a bug that was generated with some of our changes, unreleased changes. And so William took kind of a fine-tooth comb through that positioning and reworked how the targets are initially positioned and how they're repainted when the page scrolls to kind of make that just a more accurate and a better visual experience, and to work with these new features that we introduced. So that brings us to some more front-end highlighter changes we made. So disable style improvement. So we got a little bit of feedback that our disable styles does some funny things every now and then. And the disable styles is a bit of a complex thing. I mean, in theory, it's simple. So if you're looking on the front end highlighter and you're going through issues, you may come across an issue where the front end highlighter says it's not visible on the page. And there can be many reasons for that. And the number one reason is typically it's something that's hidden on the desktop view. So like a mobile menu, and there's an accessibility issue inside of that. And it says, hey, we know this issue is not visible on the page. You can toggle off the styles, and if you toggle off the styles, then you can see the target and you can see the element in which it has the accessibility issue. So you can toggle that. It removes all the styles from the page. You basically get like a old school looking like HTML page. And if you're from the early days of the internet, like William and I, you were used to those HTML pages.
I kind of like it.
I do too. It's a little nostalgic, but
Mm.
it,
I do want to jump in here though and say that earlier you mentioned that it was quite complicated to do this disable styles. It isn't actually complicated to disable them at all. You just
well,
remove them completely.
but
Re-enabling them is surprisingly complex.
yeah. So this was most notably on websites that used like page builders or websites that had a lot of snippets or websites that had custom code added in places throughout the page rather than, like uh, your styles and your being collected into a unified style sheet that's queued in the header, which is a much easier place to like pluck out and put back. So when you were and the reason why is because if you have like inline styles or you have a style tag somewhere in the middle of the page, um, and you have other styles that are loaded in the header, and maybe you could even have styles loaded in the footer. Who knows? And so you're fighting a cascading style sheet inheritance game here. So every style that's inserted has the ability to modify or inherit styles that are added further up in the page.
Or specifically to override them if the specificality is exactly the same.
Right.
So
So
the order in which the styles are presented is quite
is important,
important.
quite important, and it's really highlighted on websites like that. And so we kind of reworked it a bit to where we are, we're going through and we're removing the styles and maybe even setting flags to where they should be, and then when the styles are re-enabled, we're inserting them back to where they belong or where they started. I'm not sure if that's where they belong, but
Back to where they were. Yeah.
back to where they were in the order in which they were there. And programmatically, when you're doing this, you're doing it from top down. And then when you go to put them back, you kind of need to reverse the order so you don't mess up that inheritance. So, like William said, simple on its face, but like complex in practice.
Yeah, and it's not just complex because you have style sheets to contend with. You also have inline styles, and you also have inline style tags as well, and they are treated quite differently. Particularly and generally in the cascade, inline styles on a specific element are going to have the highest specificality, the highest priority all the time. And if you don't restore them back to the existing object, then that is going to be pretty problematic because they will instantly lose all of their specificality, which is a thing we did see on some test sites when we were refactoring this. Is we've seen images that had inline sizing suddenly grow when you re-enabled the styles. Quite often we've seen extra space at the end of pages because margin collapse wasn't present.
Yeah. So we consider this quite the improvement, and we're always trying to improve the product. We're always trying to take the feedback we get about the features in the plugin and make it better. And we consider this quite the improvement. So, in regards to like, we did some like CPU throttling testing of the plugin, and we were messing with these styles. We noticed that the styles would reload anytime you tried to close the accessibility checker front end highlighter panel, and in some cases, it only needs to actually reload those when you have styles disabled, so that your page restores to normal. If your styles are not disabled, it doesn't need to do that.
No,
So
and it was just whenever you closed it, doing it by default. And as you said, we were doing CPU throttling and realized that low power devices, well, I already knew this, but page CSS painting on the page is quite an expensive process in terms of CPU cycles. And most of us don't notice it day to day because we have high power computers or whatever. But if you're on a mobile device, for example, and you have to close that box, you're probably going to notice a flicker because it's going to take time to repaint every single style that was on that page. And if we don't need to do it, we just shouldn't. and that is now how it works. We don't do it if we don't need to.
Yep. And likely, in most cases, we don't need to do it.
Yes,
So
exactly. We were absolutely doing it in most cases when we didn't require it, which is wasteful.
Yep.
Now we don't waste those CPU cycles.
So we are passing the CPU savings on to you, the accessibility checker users.
Yep. Save yourself like 2 cents of electricity per month.
per lifetime.
Yeah, it's worth it. Save the planet a little bit at a time.
That's right. That's right. And plus, it hedges against if that re-enable styles really does have a slight issue on a certain website. It hedges against not modifying the page. Like, don't mess with the page if you don't have to.
Correct.
And cool. So that was a nice little added bonus into adding improvements to the disable styles. So finally, let's move on to sorting and fast track improvements. So along with generating unique unique objects, we had to make a few updates to our. I'm skipping ahead to the fast track one here, William, but we had to make some updates to the fast track improvements, to the fast track page, so that the numbers make more sense. When it was initially coded, it was coded under the assumption that there wouldn't be
one instance per page.
There'd be one instance of every object per page, whereas now that assumption is incorrect. There could be 5 instances. There could be 99 instances of the same code object on the page. Do you have this up? Do you want to show this?
Yes, I have this up on a demo site. So, maybe I should zoom in because this code object might be unreadable, right?
Yeah.
So this is our fast track page, and this specific issue here is an empty paragraph, and I keep using this as a way of testing things because this is the smallest markup chunk that I can write that creates an issue. But as we can see, this is on 5 affected pages, 1 failing check, which the check is the empty paragraph tag. But when we open the issues panel, it says there's 15 instances of this check. Previously, this would only be able to detect 1 instance per page. So this number would be 5 for instances and 5 affected pages. And the title of this column was actually affected pages previously. However, now that there can be more than 1 detected markup fragment that's the same on a page, this has been renamed to be instances, and there's 15 instances of empty paragraph across 5 pages. So now this label here used to be pages, and now it is affected pages. It contains the view pages link. If I click on this, it opens up a panel which has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages, and that matches the affected pages here. So if we click on any one of these view on page links, it will take us to the page and highlight the first empty paragraph instance. So let's see if I click on this one. And here we go. We have a bunch of empty paragraphs, and this is the first instance of it on this page.
Yeah, so previously, with previous logic, this would have showed 15 pages, which would have been a bit redundant.
Correct. And it would have been 5. So there's probably this page here probably has 5 on it. This probably has 1. There would be, this link would appear 5 times if there was 5 instances on this page, which, you don't need all of those links. And it would read out quite nastily to screen readers, as I discovered. So
So it'd be duplicate links over and over again and add a bit of confusion. So we've kind of rolled those all up and tried to make this logically make a little bit more sense when we're dealing with duplicated identical issues. Cool. So since you have your screen up, do you want to jump over to the open issue sorting? So in a previous release, we released this more advanced sorting when it comes to open issues. We sort by severity and then by count, and we made the ability to sort these columns. So if you want to see what these look like ordered differently, you can. And we have since refined this a bit. Do you want to speak to that, William?
Yes. So I think the refinements we've made is by default, there is now an indicator. You can see this is by default sorted by severity. And severity is a two-tier sort, as you were just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Previously, there wasn't good visual indicators, so now there is. We can change these. We can also just go back to the default sort. Yeah, so that's the default.
Actually, you're sorted. Yeah, you're sorting
Yeah,
by severity. If you want to go back to
yeah,
the default, we have a reset to default sorting, because the default sorting is a bit custom, right? It's two
yes.
tiered.
Yes, it is. So I actually didn't notice the count was not sorted properly on
Yeah.
severity only sort.
So if you sort by severity individually by clicking on the top of the table, you can sort just by severity without regards to the count. And vice versa. If you want to just see what issues have the highest count, you can just click on count and get the lowest or the highest count of issues to start working on. The reason we sort this default sorting is we're trying to highlight to you what's the most critical issue and which one has the most. So like if you're trying to improve your accessibility coverage or your numbers, you click on this top one, which in this case is missing form label, and you fix these 4 issues, and you've fixed the most severe and the highest number of issues. It's kind of like a what's my biggest bang for my buck, right? Where can I most devote my time?
But if it's mostly for the critical issues, though, is what's the most high severity issue that you can solve? If you are looking for most bang for your buck as far as raw numbers go, you probably are going to want to use the fast track,
Right.
because I could fix this link here, which would be 13 pages solved.
Right.
But,
And you just have to fix it in one place.
yes, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. In that instance, one place.
Yeah.
So, yep. So those are the improvements in the latest releases. We try to put out releases every 2 weeks, and we try to move fast here and have a really iterative development release workflow so that we can fix these things and we can get these out to you, the user, as quick as possible. So we are working on new things as well. We can't really tease too much of it, but we are currently in a workflow work cycle of doing some UI improvements to help bring accessibility checker more in line with some modern WordPress layouts. And as William's pulled up here our current meta box. So a little tease is that we're kind of bringing this meta box kind of into the WordPress editor in a more, hey, don't be highlighting stuff. Like, don't click on that.
I can't click on it; it's broken.
Oh, okay.
I haven't made it work yet.
So William's teasing here. He's looking at the WordPress editor sidebar, and there appears to be something in regards to accessibility checker in that sidebar that I will not speak of here, but I just want to let our users know that we're doing a lot of UI and UX enhancements to try to improve the experience and the layout of our meta box. And we are really excited to get this out to you here in an upcoming release, hopefully not too far from now. So, well, that's our episode. Kind of a short one this time, but some important features. Having unique, being able to identify items uniquely is huge, and being able to improve the selector and the accuracy of the front end highlighter, we think is pretty huge. And being able to restore those styles without issues seems minor, but it's important. So we're always continually improving the accessibility checker, and we do these live streams twice a month. We do it on the 1st and the
second and the 4th.
2nd and 4th. That's right, 2nd and 4th. I'm off because of January, because like January 1st was like on a Thursday, and that would have
Yeah,
been
but I think technically it's the second and the last.
Yeah, the second.
But
and
some months might have 5.
Yeah. So we should be on a normal schedule for February. So look for this live stream here in a couple weeks, and we look forward to joining you. And thanks for being with us today. See ya.